Hope Singapore, good morning. To all our friends here in Axis and all our regional friends, all the regional centers, good morning. If you are joining us live on Facebook, we are so blessed that you're able to join us. Now, my friends, we are on this In God We Trust series. Now, someone says, is it in God we trust or in gold we trust? And someone said this, no, it is in God that I trust, everything else please pay in cash. Now, the thing here is about putting our trust in God's provision. True, not true? Now, last week, just a quick recap. Pastor Tim shared with us about this giving to God. Why? Because God is the giver of all things, and because God is the giver of all good things, He provides. Here's something he shared that I thought really caught my attention. Now, what's the issue here? The issue here is not with little. When we have little, we could go by, we can get by. The problem comes when we have plenty. When we have plenty, we start to be calculative. Am I giving too much? So a true test is this. Not whether when you have little, it's when you have plenty. How are we giving to God? And today we're going to be on our second part, the final concluding series of In God We Trust, Part 2. Now, I don't know about you, but the news going on for the past few weeks has been what? What's the news going on? What's the hot news going on? COVID-19, right? And then Singapore went to the headlines news. True? People had a mad rush, cleared out the supermarket, and then what happened was, one thing that I still cannot understand, they cleared out all the toilet paper. And then minister had to come out and then make statement, give assurance, and I thought, must be uniquely Singapore. And then the turn of events recently helped me to realize actually not true. What happened was Australia also cleared out all the toilet paper. South Korea also cleared out all the toilet paper. And I thought maybe, perhaps Western country more refined, right? Also true. Italy cleared out all the toilet paper. Apparently, this is not a uniquely Singaporean kind of stuff. But then what is true? Fear. This is consistent. Fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of uncertainty. My boss was jokingly telling me, he said, she go back home. That week, she went back home, she tell the wife, hey, go and stock up and then buy toilet paper. Then the wife looked at him and said, I don't understand why you need to buy toilet paper. I won't go. Then my boss told the wife, hey, what happened if you run out of toilet paper? Then the wife looked at him and said, use your hand lah. True or not true? But then, anyway, that's besides the point. But then what one news got my attention, also COVID-19, related to COVID-19. Someone pledged $100 million during this COVID-19 season. Can I have a slide? Bill Gates, together with his wife Melinda Gates, pledged $100 million towards this fund that says it's for detection, immunization, and treatment of this COVID-19 virus. I was very impressed. I said, I did a background check. I mean, 100 million, right? It's not like spare change, 100 million. So, you know Bill Gates, right? You're all familiar. Even the things that we are using also comes from Bill Gates, Microsoft. Even the PowerPoint that we are running also from Microsoft. Now, I went to check out how wealthy is he. So, as of 2020, right, guess how much he's worth? 110 billion US dollar. 110 billion, okay, is 110 with 9 zeros behind. And then that's not an astounding thing. How much has he given away? 30 billion US dollar, 30. Mind you, mind-blowing. How much is 30 billion US dollar? It is so much that combined all the 116 countries' GDP, right, adds up to 30 billion. And then they have this fund, this Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, this philanthropic entity, that through that, they are giving for charitable works. And I said, that is really impressive. Even in absolute amount and in proportion, right, Bill Gates would have given much more than any one of us here. Now, if I tell you a story, a truth, if I tell you something, right, actually someone actually gave more than Bill Gates. Would you believe me? Really? You say, can someone give more than Bill Gates? Now, if you look at me with the Bible, right, Mark chapter 12, This morning, you can look at Mark chapter 12, verse 41 to 44. An account of this nameless widow and her giving. Now, mind you, when I say that this person who gave more than Bill Gates, I'm not undermining what Bill Gates is doing. But I'm just saying, there's this one person, this nameless widow, her giving is actually worth much more than what Bill Gates has done. Now, if you have a Bible, turn to Mark chapter 12, verse 41 to 44. Let's do interactive reading, shall we? I will do the even verses, you do the odd verses. Now, you start first. Now, Mark chapter 12, verse 41. You go. Verse 42. But a poor widow came, put in 2 copper coins. 2 very small copper coins, worth only a few cents. Verse 43, your turn. Verse 44, let's read it all together. They gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on. Now, if you read the context of this story, very important. Just go up a few verses. Mark chapter 12, verse 38 to 40. Jesus was bringing his disciples on a field trip. They are fishermen in Galilee. So Jesus brought his disciples to Jerusalem, big-time city, bringing them to the place of central worship in all Israel. So brought his disciple there, went to the most important place that they must visit when they are in Jerusalem, to the temple. And then when he was there, he taught the people, he taught the worshippers there, and then he had a confrontational moment with the religious leader then. The thing here was this. In Mark chapter 12, verse 38 to 40, the context here was this. Now, he was rebuking the religious leader. He says, now, you people, what you do, you dress to impress so that you look like the upper crust of the society. When you walk out, you expect people to greet you. When you are in the temple, you are sitting in high and prominent places. The rebuke here was this. You are doing all these things for people to honor you. You are doing all these things to win affirmation and accolades. So here is this. Many people do or give to receive affirmation and honor, but we as believers, the first thing here is this. We give to God without being known by others. Verse 41, just take a quick look at verse 41. What happened here was this. Now, Jesus was at a temple place. Here, this setting is a woman's court. When you first enter the temple, there is this wide temple court called a woman's court. Why is it called a woman's court? It doesn't mean that only women can go there. It is the only place, this open place, where the woman can worship. Now, beyond this place into the inner courts, right, then there at that time there was discrimination. Women can't enter the inner sanctuary of the temple. So all the women who comes, they will worship together with the men at the women's court. This outer court, open air. And so Jesus was there with his disciples, and then they sat down opposite the place, watching people putting in their money. Watching people giving their offerings. Now, this thing that you need to understand this context here, some story here. This temple treasury. What is this temple treasury? Now, if you go to the temple courts, there are actually 13 trumpet chairs, or we call this the shofar chairs. Not sofa, shofar. Shofar, which is the horn that they use, the Israelites use to call out people. And then there's this wooden chairs, 13 chairs lined up in the open courts. And this sofa chairs or this trumpet chairs very unique. Let me explain to you. If you look at this picture there, right, it looks like a trumpet. And then there's the trumpet bell. And then it's made of metal, bronze, I think. And then there's this big receptacle, this funnel there, a narrow neck, and then a big wooden chest. Practical reasons, right? You need people to put in money. So it's a big opening, if you can see there. Big opening, people can just put in their money. The narrow neck is to prevent theft. So you can throw in money, but you can't go in and take money out. So that's the design. 13 chairs are lined up in the women's court. Now, there are 13 chairs. 9 of them are taxes. 4 are free will giving. the religious leader then has designed this giving system to maximize some giving effects. So what's happened here is this. People go, they worship. They go into the temple, they worship. After that, they're going to do giving. And then here is this. Jesus is telling them, people give to be recognized. But then we give, right? We should do it not to receive any recognition. Let's look at verse 41 again. After that, let's look at verse 41. I want to help us to understand the context here. Now, you see, people go into the temple courts. People putting in their money. You see that? Jesus watched, they put their money. And then some people putting in their money. And then what happened? Many rich people threw in large amount. Then I was thinking, not happy is it? Throw money. Throw at me, you know. If you understand the trumpet chairs and then the context, then you know why they are giving it in this way. People who are rich, right? What happened? They can give more. And when they can give more, they want to maximize the effect. They want to draw, or somehow rather, they want people to know that they are giving. And the thing here is this. Last time when they give money, there is no nets, no pay now, PayLah, or online giving. People give by cash. And then people don't use dollar notes, all in coins, metal coins, bronze, copper, whatever, metal coins. And then the currency then is in shekels. And then the religious leader, very smart, he says, if you want to give, right, you can change your shekel, which is a big denomination, right? You can change your shekel, right, to smaller denomination. Why? Maximize the giving impact. Big denomination, one coin, pong, throw in, no effect. Big, one shekel, change to many coins. Now that got effect. You go to the trumpet chest, and then if you are rich, and you got a lot to give, what happens? You can imagine, cling, 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 and then, the sound effect of your giving will be reverberating through the temple courts. So this is what is happening here. But if you read in context here, then you know that, you remember one thing, right? Matthew chapter 2. Let's go to Matthew chapter 2. Now, Jesus was telling the disciples, now this is before they went to Jerusalem. Jesus telling the disciples, he says, when you give, do not announce it with trumpets. Jesus was alluding to this giving sofa chairs, the trumpet chairs. He said that when you give, don't announce it. Do it in secret. Because if you do it to let people know, you have received your reward in full. Because Jesus said, truly, I tell you, if you give just to be honored by others, you have received your reward in full. So the thing here is this. When we give, we do it in private, in secrecy. How do we put that into application? Some wrong application. Let me help you understand this part first. Wrong application. There are people sometimes when you ask them, hey, wow, you had a wonderful testimony, right? Testimony. Can you share about God's goodness? They say, oh, no. Cannot share one. Must be in secret. The things that I do, right, in secret, I cannot share. If share, I contravene Matthew chapter 6, verse 2. You heard of that before? Sometimes people tell me that. That's not the right application. Because the thing here, when you testify, right, you're not testifying about yourself. When you testify, you give glory to God. When you testify, you don't draw attention to yourself, you draw attention to God, which is good, which is glorious. The right application here is this. When you do good deeds, or when you do things, right, why do you do all these things? Is it to receive affirmation or accolades? The thing here is this. Why do you give? Why do you serve? I mean, many times when we were new as believers, right, the first time when we were in church, and then we were challenged, asked to serve, then you start to serve, right? And then everybody around you will encourage you. Whoa, very good, serving. Wonderful, encourage you, right? And then you feel good. There's this feel-good factor when people encourage you, acknowledge you, and then give you the affirmation. Then after a while, you serve a long time, right? No encouragement comes already, you know. And then they'll ask, how come you are late? You were supposed to be usher, right? You late, right? No encouragement, no affirmation after all. Same thing here, through your seasons of serving. Now the thing here, even preachers, we serve, wow, when we serve, when we tell a sermon, wow, your story very good leh. I'm very encouraged leh. Then after now, you preach a long time, people say, wow, why you say that? Out of context Wrong, you know. You never do enough Bible study. Then, so tough, right? The thing here is this: what motivates you to serve? What motivates you to give? If your service and your giving is for others to recognize you, to affirm you, and encourage you, there's not going to be longevity. We give to God because He is worthy. The second thing here, we give to God all that He has blessed us. So we give to God without being known by others, and now we need to give to God without being known. We give to God what He has blessed us with. Verse 41 to 44. Just look at that verse. I think it's not Matthew, but it's Mark. Anyway, it's my typo, my wrong. Many rich people threw in large amount, right? Verse 41b. That's Jesus' observation. And then verse 44, it says, they gave out of their wealth. That is Jesus' word. Now, today, this morning, I want to give you something that helps you to, what's my intention? I want to share with you something that liberates your giving. Not by what the preacher here tells you to give, and you don't give out of guilt. You don't give because out of peer pressure. If there's one thing I want to help you to understand, right, there's this very important part here. Look at this table. Singaporeans like tables and charts. So I have put this very powerful chart. You can take a photo right now. Yeah, before I continue. This is I've sort of do some Bible study for you, for your sake. I did a Bible study. So I have summarized what the Bible says about giving. When to give, how much to give, why do I give, and can I don't give or not? I've already summarized for you in these 3 verses in this table. And then let me help you to understand what do I mean that we give because He has blessed us, and I want to help you to know how you should be giving. Deuteronomy 16:17 says this very well. It says, now, each one of you must must bring a gift in proportion to the way the Lord your God has blessed you. It says this, proportionate giving. Very important here. There is this thing here, it says now, giving is non-negotiable. Notice the word must is a command. Giving is non-negotiable. And then how much you want to give, right? Between you and God. It's really between you and God. I'm not talking about tithing. This sermon today is not about tithing. Tithing is a given. I will not talk about it. I'm talking about giving in general. Giving is a must. And then giving is relational. Between you and God, how God has blessed you, you give in proportion to the way how the Lord God, your God, the verse says, the Lord, your God, not someone else's God. The goodness you receive, the grace that you receive from God, hey, translate that into giving. God's grace is invisible. But your giving is a visible sign of God's invisible grace. So we say we give, we must give, because when we give, we acknowledge that God is the source, He's the giver of all good things. As a result, He has blessed me, I give to others. So give in proportion. The second thing, give regularly. Give regularly. The second part, let's give regularly. It's in 1 Corinthians 16:2. This is a very important verse here. It says, now, Paul was telling the Corinthians, he says, now, on the first day of every week, set aside a certain sum of money in keeping with your income, saving it up, so that when I come, no collections will have to be made. Now, this is Paul's address to the Corinthians. He's saying, now, you need to give regularly, Corinthians. How to do it? Now, they give their wages on a weekly basis. In Singapore context, it's monthly basis. So it's a weekly basis. He says, now, on the first day of every week, when you receive your wages, set it aside, put that amount aside, you budget it, and then, more importantly, in keeping with your income. In keeping with your income. So that when I come, right, no collection will have to be made. He's saying it has to be automatically. I think the closest context that we can have here is standing instructions to your bank giving. Yeah, standing instruction. You don't have to think one. You just set the standing instruction. Every month, money comes in, money goes out. Standing instruction. But then Paul is telling them, now, as much as there's grace giving, then there's the giving out of the heart, then make it a point that your giving is habitual. How to make it habitual? Budget it in. And then what's the important thing here is this. He's saying in keeping with your income. Now, we all want to increase our earning power, don't we? Who wouldn't like to have increase in earning power? Nobody. Also spiritual. Only I want an increase in my earning power. Now, the thing here is this. As you seek to increase your earning power, perhaps pay increment, bigger business deal, the Lord bless you, whatever means and ways, through increment, bonuses, whatever business deal that comes in, as your earning power increase, mind your lifestyle creeps. What are lifestyle creeps? Have you heard about lifestyle creeps? Lifestyle creeps are certain situations whereby when you earn more, there is a tendency to spend more. True or not true? I experienced this myself. Wow, there are years where I receive big bonus from my company. When you have no bonus, you will really learn to budget and appreciate what you have. And then suddenly, boom, big bonus. And then what happens? Suddenly, you feel that a lot of things I need to buy. A lot of things I need to upgrade. This one upgrade, that one upgrade. This one must buy, that one must buy. So lifestyle creeps. Mind the lifestyle creep. That's why Paul says in 1 Corinthians 16:2, he says, now in keeping with your income. Very wise, right? This is the wise saying. In keeping with your income. But many times, right, the truth be told here is like, when our income increase, right, spending also increase. But then, giving never increase. So I want to encourage all of us here is this. As your earning power increase your giving power. As the Lord bless you more, seek to give more. Disclaimer. Some people come to me and says, I know lah, you are the zap cai peng preacher what. You tell that story before you eat zap cai peng, eat until you cry, and then you can live with zap cai peng every day. And then they ask me, you expect every believer to live like you, right? Man does not live on bread alone, but on every zap cai peng that comes from God, right? That's not what I meant, my friends. The thing here was helping you to understand. Now, there are some of us here, 4-figure salary, 5-figure salary, 6-figure salary. True or not true? Some of you, salary uncountable. Your lifestyle is different. What to me is luxury, to another is normal. Yes? So I don't want to put us through this guilt trip. Oh, you have money, not spiritual. I don't have money. I live with very little. Then I'm very spiritual. That's not the way we understand this part here. The thing here is this. If you earn a lot, you want to splurge, I won't use splurge. You want to spend on luxury, right? You can spend by all means. But here's the test. If your spending, right, impedes your giving, then you know you need to cut back on your spending. That's simple. You got to work it out for yourself. So give in proportion, give regularly, give. What's the last thing that we need to give? That's the very important thing here. Give what you have. Give within your means. Let's look at 2 Corinthians 8:12. He says now, for if the willingness is there, the gift is acceptable. According to what one has, not according to what one does not have. So people come to me, hey, I have debts. Car loan, housing loan, credit card to pay. Can I don't give or not? And then I'll tell them, you have many valid reasons not to give. But I can tell you one, there's only one reason that you need to give. Give because God is worthy. And God never asks you to give what you do not have. God says give what you have. And then giving it out willingly. So tell the person next to you, give willingly. So we give without being seen or known by others. We give what the Lord has blessed us. And the last part here, very important, we give all that we have. When I come to this part, right, actually people are all very quiet one. You know why? Oh, I know already. The preacher will talk about give sacrificially. Or we preach very short, right? Give sacrificially, give your all, give everything. And then sometimes I sit down there and listen, oh no, do I have to live in poverty? Then does it mean that I have to give everything until I'm poor means I'm spiritual? And then throughout the ages, right, there were wrong teachings that, I wouldn't say wrong, but not balanced teaching that come out from it. Things like this. If you can make a vow of voluntary poverty, which is some say what the scripture is talking about, then this pleases God. Voluntary vow of poverty. There was this kind of teaching going on. And then there were people, so-called spiritual Christians, that says, now, I'm able to live with little. It means I am spiritual. Those who live with much, not spiritual. And then what happens? They dichotomize, Lord. If you have a lot, you're not spiritual. I can live with little, then I'm spiritual. Now, that's not what the scripture is teaching us. I want to help us to understand the motivations of giving. I think most of the time, you either fall in these two categories. How we approach giving. What do I mean by this? You examine it for yourself. You ask yourself, is your giving transactional? Transactional giving. You give to get. Example, transactional giving. The money that you have is seed money. And then you got to invest in God's kingdom. And then if you sow sparingly, you reap sparingly. If you sow generously, you reap generously. So that's the teaching that we have. Transactional. Why do I say transactional? Now, on one hand, it's to motivate us to give. But then, if you are not mindful, your giving because, I give so that I can get more, becomes transactional. So what? You treat God like a fund manager. You say, I give to God, which is my ultimate fund manager, so that God will return me manifolds in return. If you're not mindful of that, our giving becomes transactional. I give to get more. And then God to me is my fund manager, my trusted financial advisor. Guaranteed return. Watch what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that this teaching is wrong. Don't go out there because there are many times people say your giving is a seed, you sow generously, you will reap generously. Don't go out there and tell them you're teaching wrong teaching because my preacher tells me your teaching is wrong. That's not what I'm saying. The understanding is not complete. Got to move beyond transactional giving, my friend. And then what's another category? Conditional giving. Let me ask you a question. You always say, you only give if only certain criteria are met. I will only give if God answers my prayer. Sometimes we come to God and say, God, I'm looking for this job. This is my dream job. So Lord, and then there's increment. So if I'm able to secure this job, the pay increment I will give to you. I mean, that's sometimes our prayer. It says, Lord, I will serve you if I get a spouse, I get a life partner. In that line, your giving is always attached to some condition and criteria. Conditional giving. Then some of you be thinking, if you are alert enough, then you'll be thinking, hey, Jiaming, are you contradicting yourself? Because Deuteronomy 16, 17, you say that, hey, give in proportion to the Lord your God has blessed you. Then why do you say that conditional giving is not right? Then what I'm saying here is this. I'm not saying it's not right. But then if your giving is always a condition, based on a condition, you're missing out something. Beyond transactional giving and conditional giving, I propose to you something that is more worthwhile. It is sacrificial giving. Sacrificial giving. First, sacrificial living. When there's sacrificial living, there'll be sacrificial giving. When there's sacrificial living, an outflow of sacrificial living is sacrificial giving. When you give sacrificially, doesn't mean you are living sacrificially. Are you confused right now? Yes, good. Then I help you to understand. The first thing here is not the absolute amount that you are giving. What I'm talking here is your sense of being, my friends. Before I talk to you about giving sacrificially, then ask, how are we living sacrificially to God? And then I say, you can give sacrificially, but then you may not be living sacrificially. But I can tell you one thing for sure. If you're living sacrificially as an outflow of your life, you are able to give sacrificially. How does this thing look? How does a Christian that's living sacrificially looks like? I propose to you 3 things, very important. Live beyond comfort, live beyond convenience, live in your conviction. I give an example what I mean, that someone that is able to give sacrificially may not be living sacrificially. You are open to money. Money, I can give. But there will be areas in your life that you are tight-fisted. My time, my talent, my treasures. There'll be some areas in your life that you are tight-fisted. But the true test here is, are you living sacrificially? Let me flesh it out for you. And I hope that it gives you a vision how you're going to live it out in your own life. And that's the most important thing and the most worthwhile thing, that we live sacrificially. And then you see a vision of yourself, of your Christian being in Christ. Chile in crisis, I call this. Chile in crisis. Not many of you know, 2019, the country of Chile is in chaos as in crisis. What happened? 4 cents metro fare hike. 4 cents metro fare hike, which is, the metro fare is equivalent to our MRT. Their metro, it's the same as our MRT. 4 cents fare increment. All hell broke loose. The country went into chaos. What happened was disorderliness, crime, and violence. The trigger was the 4 cent fare hike. The root issue and a political issue here, the societal issue here was this: grinding poverty, income inequality, corruption. The people have to face high cost of living. Now, why am I telling you this story? So far and away, it doesn't affect you at all. Well, I got a good couple friend. They are missionaries in Santiago, Chile. Regularly, on a yearly basis, they come back, touch base with them, talk to them, find out how things are with them, pray together with them as much as I can. What can I do for them? And he shared with me, this is what's happening in Santiago, Chile. He says, mind you, Chile, prior to this, is the oasis of peace and prosperity in the midst of chaos and corruption in South America. He says, when this thing came, all hell broke loose. The pride, the joy of the nation was crushed. And then he says, I asked how bad it is. Then he told me, think about Hong Kong, up a few notches. The sense of helplessness and chaos and everything. Then I asked, how is it affecting your life? And they told me this affects every area of their life. Prior to that, when they were there, things were really good for them. I mean, life was stable, there was peace, but I think now there is inconvenience. They got to live out of their comfort zone. A run on the bank. Things that we take for granted, for example, I need to take money, ATM, draw money. Well, all ATMs are vandalized. I need to get to somewhere. Well, Singapore, grab a train. Well, there's no train there. Because of this issue, all train stations were vandalized. All ticketing machines were all vandalized. To get from point A to point B, even to get to work, is nearly impossible. Things that they take for granted has now become a chore. But the truth here is this, they tell me something, it's like, this inconvenience they can live with. But then it is the psychological and the mental turmoil that they go through. They could sleep in the middle of the night and they get woken up because there were sirens going, there could be gunshots because the country is under martial law. And their estate which they were living were peaceful in the past. And now there were stories of robbery, burglary, break-ins, and now the residents have to come together and roster themselves every night so that they can guard their estate. That's the extent that they live. Of course, he was telling me jokingly, he says, like, oh, we got to live it one step at a time. And then he's telling me this, the story is real. He says now, many missionaries bailed out. People who went there to start a church, to plant a church, bailed out, went back. Why? No security, no safety, life is insecure. So many left their flock, left their church, went back to their country. Then I asked them, so why don't you leave? Leave Chile for a season, perhaps, for your safety, if not for yourself, for your kid. And then a couple told me one thing. Said they prayed, they thought it through, and then they said, we will stay. Not for our sake, but we will go through it with our flock. Well, the thing here was service was affected. You have a service, people can't come. But they said they will stick it through. Brings me to this thing. Beyond your comfort, beyond your convenience, they are living in their conviction, my friends. This sermon is not a sermon about giving of your money. This sermon is a sermon about giving your all. If you look at Mark chapter 12, verse 44, the very last part, the poor widow gave and put in everything, all that she had. Did you notice the story, my friend? There were 2 copper coins in her hands. She could have chose to just give one and keep the other one for her life sustenance. There's a good reason that she put in all. 2 of a copper coin. The thing here is this. She did not withhold anything at all from this God that is worthy of it all. She gave it all. Now, my friends, my challenge for you this morning here is this. It's not to just open up your pocket and give more money. That's besides the point. That's just your doing. How are you doing inside your life? Wherever your income status, social status, that is one thing I want to envision all of us here. Let's not withhold our giving unto God. And then have a vision that says, now, I'm going to live beyond my comfort, my convenience. I'm going to live in my conviction. Romans 12:1 says this, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. This is your true and proper worship. How should we understand this passage, this gospel, in its whole entire context? It is beyond this thing about living a vow of poverty. It is beyond this part about giving it all, give all your money and live in poverty. It's besides the point. This is a very interesting passage that's put there. Think about it. This widow that gave her all, and in just a few days' time, Jesus will go to the cross. And He will give it His all, His life, His sacrifice on the cross for every one of us. 2 Corinthians 8:9 says this. It says, for you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though He was rich, yet for your sake He became poor, so that you, through His poverty, might become rich. And that's the whole heart of all the things that we are talking about. Why we do not withhold, why we give to God our all. Because truth be told, our God that we worship is wealthier than all the rich men and Bill Gates combined on the Forbes list. But God, in all His wealth and rich in goodness, decides to lavish His love for us. He gave Jesus Christ. This passage is the gospel, is the good news that God gave His all. Jesus never withhold anything, and He gave us His all. What is required of you this morning, my friend? It is to worship this God that is worthy of His all, and to come before Him right now once again and says, Lord, you are worthy of it all, and I will not withhold anything from you. So this morning, can I invite all of us to put aside all our things? Let's stand on our feet, whether you are here in Axis or all our regional centers. Let's come to God afresh in our worship, knowing that God is the giver of all good things,
is not enough. And we know that God deserves all things. We give because God is worthy. Let's worship Him together.